Hello. In this video, I'm going to show how I'm going to add LED lighting to this Flish RC model. This is the EC 135-500 series. I just got this. This is my second one. So a lot of you have asked me to show you how to add LED lights to this module. Now, this ESC is an 85 amp ESC. It's being supplied by a 6S 22.2 volt battery, LIPO battery. It is also providing power through an internal BEC to the H1 module. And the H1 module is running at 7.4 volts. How do I know that? I'll show you. So if I connect this battery and take out this one of these connectors, you'll see that it's at 7.4 volts. Okay, that's too high of voltage for my LED module. This is the LED module I have from Roban. You can get any module. I mean, if your LED system can handle 7.4 volts, then you should be okay. But most of the LED modules don't handle it. So that's why you have to drop down the voltage. So the way I do that is this line here, the RC in line, supplies, so the ESC supplies the power to the H1 module. This H1 module requires 7.4 volts, okay? That's coming from the ESC line right here. The RC in line connects to the SBUS module of the receiver and is currently taking the power from the module, from the H1 module to the receiver at 7.4 volts. It connects here at the SBUS port. So what we have to do is disconnect this red wire from the H1 module to the receiver so that you disconnect the power supply to the receiver. Then I'm going to use an external BEC. I'm using Castle Creations. I'm going to set it at around 5 volts. It's going to connect directly to the battery right here and drop down the voltage to 5 volts and connect into one of the ports on the receiver. Then I'm going to connect the port from my module, my LED module, to one of the other ports and program it on my receiver that, for it to be turned on and off. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is install the LED lights in the fuse. And here is the fuse. It's a beautiful big fuse. We will be, drilling holes and installing the LEDs in all the right locations, up here, down here, and the most tricky one is up here. I'm also going to add windows. This doesn't have any windows. You see, I'm going to add windows here and to the back of the fuse here, right here, and put windows here. And I'm going to tint it. And I'll show how to do that too. So once all that's done, we will install the mechanics into the helicopter and test it. Make sure everything's operating properly. We'll balance the blades and maiden hover and do our first fast forward flight. Another thing I'd like to do is add a telemetry for voltage by using this FlySky FS CVT01 telemetry module. It connects to the receiver and the balance port of your battery and transmits the voltage of the battery to your transmitter. So you don't have to guess what the battery level is. This is a very good thing to do, in my opinion. Don't guess on the battery level. The first step of this preparation is to change this connector. I don't know why for 6S we have an XT60, but I much prefer having an XT150. Maybe it's overkill, but it's much better in my opinion. So I'm going to cut this off and solder the XT150s, and then in the process I'm going to solder black wire here and red wire here for my external BEC. That's going to be supplying my receiver for the LED lights. I've taken apart these areas. I will connect the BEC here and here and keep the other ones the same. You need to tin this and put shrink wrap over it. I'll show you how it's done. I tin this area. Make sure it gets nice and hot so it penetrates the wire. It's good. Okay, so this I'm going to take it here. That's one. And then take the next one. You can tin it. Secret is making sure it's tinned properly. See, it's nice and shiny. That's a good solder. There's no way it's going to come off. So then you put a shrink wrap over this. Shrink wrapping. Probably better to use a heat gun, but since it's in place like this, it's pretty hard to use the heat gun. So I'm just using this. So we have our BEC connected. Next, we're going to connect this back to where it was before, so it fits nicely as it did before. Just goes in here in the XT 150. Okay, so soldered these two connections back. Now you just push this back down and it clicks. There you go, clicks. So this is a recap of what we just did. I went ahead and replaced the battery connectors to those that I like. You can do the same. You can either keep the same stock one at XT60 or choose to change it like I did. You can even change it to an EC5 if your batteries have an EC5 connection. Next, I'm adding a BEC, external BEC. I'm getting the supply from the battery connection at this point. I couldn't do it. It was very difficult to fit 3 wires in there, so I just connected it here. I will mount this somewhere here, and this will connect. This will power the receiver, so it's going to go and connect to the BVCC connector on the side. Then you have to make sure that the red line is disconnected between the receiver and the H1. The H1 requires 7.4 volts or more, 7.4 to 8.4 volts, I believe. So it's a higher voltage. So you got to maintain that, and the ESC is providing that with the ESC line coming directly from the ESC. So that's already there. We don't touch that. The only wire you have to take out is this RC connector here. You take it out. And what we need to do is disconnect the red wire. I'm gonna have to take it out from here. It's all nicely wrapped, but I'll take it out and you can just take out the red wire. Like that. And pull it through. You don't even have to take the whole wire out. Although this wire is pretty tight for mine, I might replace it with a longer wire. But for now, I'm just demonstrating this. In helicopters, you don't want any wires to be too tight. There needs to always be some play due to vibrations, especially on your flybarless systems. The receiver is not as critical, but if the flybarless system up there on the H1, here, has a tight wire, the system is just going to vibrate it, and that's not a good installation. So I'm going to take this out. And here we go. Come on now. There is a tire up here. Okay. Okay, let's cut that. We'll add it again. Okay, so this wire will now connect from the S-bus here. It's a Futaba connector, so I want to make sure exactly. Okay, so the signal wire is down. This goes back to the RC in connector. right here. See how tight it is? How tight this wire is? This is not good. I'm going to change this to a longer wire. I'll be right back. So now I changed this to a longer wire. It's not really tight, and it's not going to put any kind of vibration on the H1 module. So this goes in your S-bus here, as it did before. And so the module that I talked about earlier, this is the voltage telemetry. This will be connecting into the sensor port here. Okay. The BEC wire will be going into the battery connection here. Okay. The BEC external would go to this battery connection here with the signal upwards like that. And I have two lights I want to add to this. One is the nose light for the tip of the bird, and that's going to be connected to this switch all the way to the nose, and an independent battery because it's going to be very bright and at 3S. Then I'm going to wire it to the flight module, the light module here. They're going to be wired together and connect into the aux1. And the aux1 is going to be connected to a switch on my transmitter. So now I'm going to show you how to make those adjustments on the transmitter. Before moving on, let's make sure that all the voltages make sense. So I'm going to turn on the helicopter and connect the battery. Okay, now let's measure the voltages. The ESC is coming in here. Let's see what voltage the ESC is giving the H1 module. 7.4 volts. Okay, 7.4 volts here. Put that back in. Now let's see what voltage we have at the receiver right now. No voltage. Why? Because we've isolated it. Okay, so that's good. Now let's measure the voltage coming from our BEC. Five volts. This is what I want. Okay, so now we're going to power the receiver. Let's disconnect the battery. Turn off the helicopter. Okay, now we know that the voltage to the H1 is at 7.4 coming from the ESC, and there's no voltage going to the receiver. So we will connect the power now to the receiver battery port from the BEC, the new BEC that we have. Okay. We will connect these connectors to the battery balance line. Okay, you have to connect it to, positive to positive and negative to negative. So positive goes out to the far top portion, and then negative is the black, goes to the negative all the way down here. So this is your telemetry connection. Put the battery back. Okay, so let's connect the power again. Turn on the helicopter. Put the battery on. You see the power supply is there to the okay. Let's make another check to see what the receiver voltage is at. And you see it's at 5. So we have successfully isolated the receiver from the ESC power, and it's at 5 volts. So once it's at 5 volts, we can plug in our lights into channel 6 right there. It's right next to the battery port. And when it's in channel 6, you can go in your transmitter. I'll show you. You have to go in the settings, go to the aux channels. Do not change any other channels, just go channel 6, press switch D, okay, and that's going to be the switch that turns your lights on and off, okay? The other thing you want to do while you're here is to go in and set up your voltage sensor. And then when you do that is you go in here, remember, okay, go to the function, then to set up your voltage sensor, you press on receiver transmitter receiver voltage. You go to the receiver setup. You click on EXT. Yours would be like that. You would have a cross, but you want to check it. Say okay. You check it. So high voltage for 6 volt is 25.2 volts. Allowable voltage is 22.2 volts. You can set these up, basically set it up. Okay, 25.2, 22.2, and low voltage is 21 volts. Okay, you have to go to the RX. Now, when you do that, the receiver voltage here is now going to be the voltage of your battery. Okay, so now you've successfully linked up the voltage sensor for telemetry, and it's going to show you what level your battery is at. This is a pretty good addition, I think. Okay. Go into 3S, see things work properly. And let's say we are ready to start. We go like that. It's flashing, and you run. The receiver voltage, and stop. So this is great. Pretty happy right now. So we've set up, we're ready to install our lights and ready to install this switch for the light in the front. This is going to be a Y connector into channel 6. Okay, so as you see, I did a Y connector to channel 6, and one side I have my nose light. Okay, other side I have the rest of the navigation lights. And so this is all connected to channel to the switch D. So if I turn switch D, I have this nose light, very bright, and it's on a independent 3-volt, 3S battery. Okay, because it's really bright. So I've got all my lights set up, isolated it from my receiver, and I'm ready to install the LEDs now in the helicopter. Okay, we put the mechanics aside. The next step is to install all these LED lights on the fuse. The nav lights, the red and the green, are going to go on the fins. You know, red on the left and green on the right. We're going to have a strobe up here and another one down here and a beacon up front, and that other light is going to go in the front, the bright light with the 3S. That would go right here. So that's what I'm going to do next. And then before that, we're going to install the skids. Skids are relatively simple. They go together. It's very, I'll show that they are pretty big. Okay, we'll go through it next. Okay, putting the skid together, pretty simple. You have all these T connectors that go on the skids. And then these, one is, I think, a little different than the other. Depending on, no, they're basically the same. So it doesn't really matter where you put it. They go on this side. So I set it up here, dry fit, and then what I try to do is make sure that I go and put it on the helicopter with the helicopter weight on it. I make sure it's all straightened out before tightening anything out. And I also put some CA, once it's all set, I put some CA drops in the joints, in these areas. These rubber grommets go here and here for vibration dampening. There's 4 of them. And then these are the steps, simulating the steps for getting into the helicopter. They will go like this right here. They have a wooden part in the back where there's a self-tapping screw that just taps in it like that. You'd have to put the these screws on the other side to hold them in. Okay, so these long self-tapping screws are used to screw this back into the fuse. You got 4 of these. Hope this is visible. It's very self-explanatory. This is not hard. I'm just showing you guys so you won't be surprised how easy it is. You just have to align it properly. Meaning, once you put these screws in, you have to put the helicopter on a level spot and align, make sure that it's all four corners of the skid are touching the ground. That's what I mean by align. That's just good building practice. So here, you see, this is not straight here, but I would take it in a level place now and make sure that when I press down, everything touches and it's level and aligned and plumb. Then I will just add these steps. Okay, so as you can see, this is now, I've pushed it down and all is set. It's all plumb, and I'm just gonna put a drop of CA in these locations. Show you a little. See, it's nice and plumb. These are straight. Before you put the glue on, make sure it's nice. I measure back here with a caliper. I measure from here to where the rubber is, and I make sure it's the same on both sides. And then I'm just going to put the CA on. So for the fins, I've assembled them. What I'm going to do is drill here, and these lights are going to be fished right through there, out this way, and into the tail. It's a delicate operation, so you would have to be very careful so you don't screw this up, but it'll be very nice. And I would have to score this area, take the paint off before I paint, glue it to the fuselage. I drilled a hole here. I started with a small drill and made sure that I didn't go past this thickness. That would have really messed it up. So slowly increased it to 5 millimeters. That's how big the radius of my light is. So now what I'm going to do is fish the wire through here and set the LEDs on the fins. This is the left side, so it's the red light, and we'll put that in. So I cut the wire because this wouldn't fit through the fin. I'm using a wire to fish this into the other side. So you take this is the left side, take it here, try to fish it. I might have to make that hole bigger on this side so it comes out easier. Yeah, might have to do that. So I fished it through. It was not easy. I had to make that a little bigger, that hole. And using this, one wire at a time, I pushed it through. And the way I did that is I used electrical tape to connect the rod to the wire and push it through this, and bring it out the other side. So So I'll continue it with the other side as well, and then I will have to solder this section back on that I cut. Okay, here's the status of where I am. I added the LED here. I've made a hole here so you can see how this was made. I've scratched this off to get the paint off, same as there when the epoxy goes in. I don't want to have any kind of I want it to adhere better. So this will go sit like that right here. I'll clean it up too. I have a beacon here, strobe here, strobe in the bottom, holes are made, and then we're gonna have a beacon here, and I'm gonna have a hole right here and a beacon down there. I will be putting the windows in as mentioned earlier, and this is the light that goes in the front, so I'll make a 12mm hole there. So this is the status of where I am, and we'll continue. This is probably the most painful part of this build, believe it or not. That's it. Just putting the lights. If you want lights, some people don't want lights. One thing I forgot to mention, when you make the drills, you have to go from small to high, to large diameter. And I would put tape, first put tape, mark the point that you want to drill, put some tape, packing tape is good, so that when you drill, this doesn't chip as much. It still does a little bit, but you can avoid that by, you could really improve on it by putting some tape there. LEDs are going to be fished through now. This is going to the tail. So it has an extension that reaches all the way to wherever the module is going to be. And this is the module. It feeds into the receiver. So this one will go up here, and I have a cap for it for the top, which comes with the Roban light kit that I bought. I'll put a link for it below. So it's pretty good. You basically have to glue that there, and this top glues on top like that, and it just fishes right through there. So it would end up looking like this, which is cool, I think. All right, and it's just the rear beacon. With regards to the fins, I've mentioned it before. I'm just going to epoxy this, and then I will hold it level with a tape. I'll put a tape here to hold it level so it doesn't sag. Sometimes if you're not careful, these will sag. Once it's, you got to make sure it stays like parallel to the tail like that, perpendicular to the tail like that, 90 degrees. And the way you do that, you can put a tape that holds it. You'll see. And after that's done, I'll be putting in this light. That's just a simple, just glue the light in. You'll see. And same with this guy. This is a strobe, a beacon here, and then here's the front light that I put in. As I said, I drilled a 12mm hole and epoxied this light in there. You can see how it's epoxied in there. So this will be on its dedicated 3S system. It's a very bright light. It's going to look nice, I think. So I'll be doing that, and off camera, holding the fins in place with epoxy and making sure it's level. Okay, so the next step is to put the windows here. And what I use are these plexiglass, or not plexiglass, but sort of like plastic, 0.2 inch thick. And this is what it is on Amazon. Okay, 5-pack, 12 by 12, 0.2 inch, 0.02 inch clear plastic sheets. Okay, and you got that number here. You can probably search it. But anyways, I cut these and I glue it. I use rubber cement, or otherwise Yoo-hoo, or Equal, or maybe another type of glue, but rubber cement type glue works best because you can remove it if you need to. And remember, these have two protective pieces. They have protective sheets. You have to take it off. See that coming off right now? Let's see. I'll show you how it is. This basically comes off. So you're gonna make sure it comes off. See that? It's got two of those protection. One on this side, one on the other side, before you glue it on. And so I put it both here and these two windows. And I then tint it. I use a Tamiya color polycarbonate PS31 smoke tint. And when you tint, please be careful, because you'd have to take the head off, take the canopy off, and then tape the outsides and spray inside, so that you get it nicely. But you don't put too much, a little bit at a time. And the first coat should be a light coat. A light coat. Don't let it, you know, pour down don't put too much so it kind of pours down the plastic. It'll just be terrible. Slight application first, a thin coat, and let it dry. Okay. And this is basically, my fuselage came damaged a little bit, and I had to fix this. So Flish RC has ordered a new canopy for me, and hopefully it'll get here. But it's really, I did my best. We'll see. It's gonna look nice. I've masked this all around to make sure that when I spray here, it doesn't come out of here, because I haven't put the windows yet, and it doesn't, you know. I'm probably going to mask here as well, and just spray lightly on that window on the front. All right, I did the tinting, and it looks nice. I used those sheets that I showed you, sprayed it down, and so she looks very nice, I think. I have this light in the front, and all the lights are in place. So now comes the next part, which is insertion of the mechanical system. The mechanics just will be sliding in here, and we'll have to do the, you know, lay it out properly. But first things first is you connect the tail motor assembly. One-handed. Okay, There's only one way it fits, so it's easy. They've tried to make this really easy for you. So it just slides in. If I didn't want to do all this other extra stuff, this would have been done days ago, hours ago. So connect the light here. As you remember, this is the front light. I have it on a separate battery. And the battery is going to be fit in here too. So just slide it in. Just sits right there. And we'll deal with all the other stuff. I'm going to put this right here, like that. Nice safe place for it. But first, they give you the screws, and it clearly states what is what. Okay, so you have the front and the back. So we'll put the back first. Put the back first. You just have to reach in there into the hole. And screw it in. By the way, they fly these helicopters for you before they send it to you, and they send a video of it being flown. They show your name and everything on the helicopter, so it's made for you and it's flown. And they also do the lights if you want them to, right here. So there's two in the front and two in the back. Okay, here's the final routing of my wires. I put the switch here for the headlight and the voltage telemetry sensor here. And then I put my external VEC for the lighting system there. And changed the connectors to XT150. Added this for the battery that's going to be dedicated to the light, the front light. Turned out really nice. You have your lights all installed here. So you have the nav lights, strobe lights on top, strobe at the bottom, beacon at the bottom here in the front, right there. And then tinted the windows, added the windows to the sides. Now I'm going to add the decals and balance the blades. They do come balanced. I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure it's not off at all, but I doubt it because they are, like I said, they flew this thing in the factory. And we'll test flight her. And here's the final product before the maiden. Blades were balanced. I checked the weight, checked the CG. Gorgeous. Here's the maiden flight of our new EC 135-500. windy day at the field. It seems like every day seems to be windy these days. So I couldn't wait any longer. So let's get it done. Okay, satellites on. We got a green light to make sure that these wires don't get caught up in the helicopter. Okay. On 1000 to 1003. First flight, first hover and everything. It is windy, so you can see that nice sun here. Trying to keep himself. The telemetry for the voltage on the battery. I'm just monitoring her, making sure that bad. Probably not the best day to do the maiden, but I have to. Beautiful helicopter. And the tint turned out pretty nice. Yeah, a lot of wind here, guys. You can see testament to the H1 controller. Go higher. The lights are showing, but it's too bright to really see the tail light, but you can see the nav lights and the strobe. This is a test hover, and we'll do some more fast forward flights later. I'm just checking her out. I've noticed my canopy's not on 100% either. Seriously guys, look at that wind. I'm just gonna go here and talk so people see. Look at that wind. Look, unbelievable. test the other features later when it's not that windy.